Well, hello and good morning, or good afternoon, depending on where you're dialing in from. Welcome to this demo live presentation with Spacestor, and very excited to be co-hosting this Carolina's market launch presentation with Lynette and James Roddy from Carolina Contract Group. So we're just waiting for a second or two, just while those joining on the Zoom link are getting logged in, and also those joining via the LinkedIn live stream. So we'll just give it about 10-15 seconds just while everyone gets seated comfortably and gets all their audio set up, and then we can get going. Okay, great. Well, let's make a start. And again, good morning and welcome. Thanks for joining this demo live from Spacestor in partnership with Carolina Contract Group. And the purpose of today's discussion and presentation is really introducing Spacestor to the Carolinas market, the North and South Carolinas market. Now, we're really excited here at Spacestor to be collaborating and working with our local rep team, Carolina Contract Group. And I'm going to introduce Lynette and James Roddy in a second, who can either introduce them to you, or maybe you know them already and can remind you who they are. But first of all, my name's Alex Harvey and I'm the VP of Sales globally here at Spacestor. Going to be taking you through some of the key products and where we see those fitting into the post-pandemic workplace, as well as a bit of a quick live tour of the newest Spacestor product launch, Verandas, which you can see behind me. But before we dive into that, Lynette and James, perhaps you could introduce yourselves to the attendees.
Yes, thank you. Thank you guys for joining us this morning. As you probably know, James and I are a husband and wife rep team, and we cover North and South Carolina. Spacestor is one of our newest manufacturer partners, so we're really excited to be working with them. We're really excited to have you guys here to get a closer look into the cool products that they have. So thank you so much for spending about 30 minutes with us.
Good, thanks Lynette, and thanks for the reminder on our commitment. We're going to stay within 30 minutes, so we're going to make this brief and to the point. Happy to answer questions either as we go through the presentation. Feel free to use the chat box or to unmute yourself and throw in with any questions, or if you've joined via the LinkedIn live stream, you can use the messaging box there as well, and our team will be picking up the questions, and either we can answer them live or answer those through the chat. So before we dive into some of the products that we're going to look at today, I wanted to give you a bit of a history and a background to Spacestor, the journey that we've come so far, and where we've found ourselves right now, and then the way we see the future. So on the previous slide, you will have seen our the main strapline for Spacestor, which is California cool and London design. And what that really captures is I guess you'd call it the key influences that's made Spacestor the company we are today. And by that, I mean London design, referring to the heritage of Spacestor as a UK and London-based company designing and creating workplace furniture. And you will probably have no doubt spotted from my accent, that's where I'm based, and that's where the original Spacestor business was based. But over the last 10 years, really, since we introduced our Californian Design Center in 2012, we've really seen a huge growth across the whole of the United States. And that California cool comes from the core influences that first attracted us into the Californian market nearly 10 years ago now, which was the tech companies, the Silicon Valley companies that were creating unique workplaces as a method for attracting the best talent to come and work for their organizations. And then what we've seen is the influence of that approach on clients across every industry sector. And as you'll see on the screen, the Spacestor clients that we're really proud to work with are a huge variety of industry sectors and industry verticals. But what ties all these people together, all these organizations, these global blue chips, is the emphasis that they place on attracting the best people to come and work for their organization so they can be successful. And what they recognize is the value that workplace plays in that, both that talent attraction, as well as post-COVID, of course, attracting your employees or attracting their employees back into the office as different locations open up globally. So before we dive into the product discussion, for the US market, as you will see, Spacestor have national coverage. We've got our factories in Los Angeles on the West Coast, in Philadelphia on the East Coast, which is obviously the closest one for you guys in the Carolinas market. And we've also got our design centers likewise in LA on the West Coast and in New York, 460 Park Avenue South, New York on the East Coast. So you can see our products. We're looking forward to demonstrating some of our products also at Chicago later this year. So you can see our products in the flesh, as well as connect with your local rep team. So Lynette and James, who we've just introduced. And then you'll also see on this slide the global coverage that Spacestor have. So if we're working with clients who need to implement a global design standard, we've got the ability to deliver that wherever that happens to be globally. So now let's just move into just a couple of quick examples of recent projects that we've done, just to give you a feel of the Spacestor projects or the Spacestor products in situ and how they can be coordinated, how they can be customized, how they can be integrated into your design. And customized is a really key word for us here at Spacestor, and we're seeing that as a really key part of the value that we add to your designs and your projects. So the ability to take a product that we have created, but to customize and adjust that to suit the specific design and culture and look and feel and maybe functionality that you need within your workspaces. So you'll see on these images here, we've got some of the Spacestor enclosed, as well as our semi-open collaboration booths, either integrated into millwork or integrated into drywall. But then as we flip over to the next slide, you'll see the same products and a mix of other products where we've actually got those more into an open plan space, so less of a built-in or an integrated look and feel, and more the furniture as a piece in its own right. So a real variety of how the products can be used and adapted and customized to suit individual clients and projects. But diving into the products, which we will come back to the customizer in a second or two, but diving into the products I wanted to focus on today, because what the focus of today's presentation is really around the post-pandemic workplace and how Spacestor see our product mix working with clients who are now developing and implementing, in some cases, their return to the office plans. And it's been fascinating seeing the different pace that different markets, that different client sectors and different individual clients have approached this. But what we're seeing globally is many clients are really looking seriously at how does my workplace work at the moment? What do we need to change to make it fit for purpose for the post-pandemic world? And then what's the adjustments we need to make, either as an experiment, which we may then change and adjust and adapt in the future, or that may become permanent to the way that we continue to work. And you'll see on the screen the collection of Spacestor products. And as you will see, the majority of the products that we have really fall into the ancillary space within workplace. So we're going to focus on just a handful of products today, but we've got a really broad coverage, and I'd encourage you to reach out to James and Lynette if you want to kind of do a deep dive on the Spacestor portfolio. But diving into products, and first and foremost, lockers. So personal storage seems to be a real hot topic right now. And of course, there's nothing new in the creation of workplace lockers and a workplace personal storage. That's definitely been a really popular part of workplaces for the last 10 plus years. And Spacestor, as global experts in workplace lockers, have a huge amount of pre-existing experience with clients. But what we're seeing is people are now seeing their personal storage and lockers as vital to the implementation of their hybrid working strategy or their dynamic working strategy, or whatever they call it. But the personal storage becomes, I call it the pivot point between when you're maybe working at home a few days per week or per month, and you're working in the office for a few days. And what we're seeing is the locker or the personal storage becomes the pivot point, both when you're coming into the office. So you may be bringing, for example, you may be bringing a gym bag or a cycle helmet, or maybe some shopping that you bought on the way into the office. You may just bring something in when you're coming from home, which when you arrive at the office, you may not necessarily have an assigned desk. So you may not have a space that you can call your own. So the personal storage becomes a really important secure storage for those things you're bringing in, as well as when you've been in the office, or when you're in the office and maybe you're going home and you're going to work at home for a few days, you may not have a desk of your own. So you need somewhere to securely store the stuff that you would previously have left on your desk, whether it's your keyboard and mouse, whether it's your charging cables and maybe webcams and that kind of thing. Maybe it's your coffee mug, maybe it's the files and projects you're working on right now. But again, somewhere securely to store those things has become a really important part of those hybrid working strategies, and the ability that Spacestor have to customize both the look and feel, so the aesthetic, as well as the size and also the functionality of those lockers, is proving to be really vital. And we've got some great insights into how our clients are working, and we've now started to build some data which we can share with you, with our clients. And if you'd like to dive into a separate conversation around personal storage and lockers, we'll be really happy to go into that in more depth. But to keep moving today, onto the next product, which is Portals. So Portals is really designed as, again, part of that hybrid working influence and hybrid working strategy that many of our clients are implementing, which is effectively gives you the need, once you're in the office, so you've come into the office usually for a specific purpose, and this is what we're hearing quite strongly from many of our clients, is that with that hybrid working strategy, when you're in the office, you've come there for something specific, whether that's a meeting, a presentation, a brainstorming session, a client meeting of some sort, whatever that happens to be, you're there for a specific purpose. It may be even just to reconnect with all of your team on a weekly or a 2-weekly basis, but you're there for a specific purpose. But that particular meeting won't necessarily occupy the whole of the day when you're in the office. So people need somewhere to touch down and work in those in-between times. And as I said earlier, you won't necessarily have your own desk assigned to you. So there's always the option of grabbing an unassigned desk and touching down there. But also what we're hearing with some clients is, depending on who you are, depending on your role, depending on the type of work you're doing today, and sometimes depending on your personality type, people actually prefer somewhere where you're in a semi-private or a semi-enclosed space where you can touch down and work and maybe focus on your emails, on your tasks, on your projects, whatever it is you're doing, where you're connected to the buzz of the open plan space, but you're kind of in a semi-enclosed acoustic space. And that's really what the Portals is designed to do, to create those semi-private spaces where we can step away from what we're doing. We can focus on something maybe for half an hour, maybe for 3 hours, or anything in between. And we've designed a number of different models so that you've got the ability to work in the right way, depending on the type of task you're doing. So you'll see on the screen many different options and models available, whether you need them as a wheelchair accessible solution, what we call the bring your own chair, so you can bring an ergonomic task chair and work there for 2-3 hours and be ergonomically supported. Or maybe for a shorter touchdown period of time, you might just use the fixed stand-up shelf. So there's many different options, and that, as I say, that will depend on the use case and how you or your clients are intending to use the product. And then just to keep moving through, there's a brief project image of a Portals installation we've recently done in Dallas, Texas for a global client that Spacestor work with. But moving on to the next product, which is Palisades Ii. Now, the original Palisades family, which is this grid product you can see on the screen, was launched actually back in 2015. And the original purpose of that product was as a space divider. As one of our clients said to me, this is like dividing space but without building walls, and that original concept of the space divider still holds good and is probably actually more relevant today in the post-COVID workplace or the post-pandemic workplace than it ever has been before, because we're seeing people needing to divide space in different ways, whether it's dividing a team from another team, maybe a work zone or a touchdown space from another type of space, or whether it's dividing an individual from another individual. We're seeing the need to divide those spaces as vital, but without the permanence of building walls, because as I've touched on briefly earlier, many of the things that we're doing in our workplaces today need to be fluid, need to be future flexible, need to be adaptable for the future. And the Palisades Grid product was originally launched with that whole concept of future flexibility. So the Palisades Ii, which is a development and extension of the original Palisades family, bringing in some additional colors, bringing in some softer lines and curves, as you'll see on the screen, bringing in the ability for you to maybe create some curved scrum spaces rather than just a kind of square straight line configuration. We're seeing that design aesthetic being required and requested more often in the current workplace designs, just the ability to bring that softer, more homely aesthetic and look and feel to the workplace. And then continuing to move through the products we're focusing on today, the railway carriage, which is this kind of what we call a plug and play collaboration space. So with the railway carriage, the whole product is really designed around spontaneous collaboration within the workplace, where maybe 2 or 3 or maybe 4 people need to get together right now to discuss an opportunity or a project or an idea that someone's had, without the kind of over formality that's involved with setting up a meeting in inverted commas. So where you book a meeting room, or you send out the calendar invites for tomorrow and find a time slot that works with everyone. This is more about kind of touchdown right now to share an idea, share a concept. And with the railway carriage, we can actually place those collaboration hotspots in and amongst the task working areas. Now, bringing this up to speed with the post-pandemic workplace, what we're seeing with a good few clients now, both across the US but also globally, is people using these railway carriage type products, or a 2, 4 or 6 person collaboration space, as a short-term solution in the same way as the portals that I described earlier. So as a kind of single person touchdown space where they might be kind of in between activities, but in the office for a particular purpose, and you need somewhere to touch down, to plug in, to charge up your laptop, to answer your emails and catch up on the kind of day-to-day stuff you're doing. And then in the mid to longer term, the use case is going to be flipped back to what we discussed earlier. So the kind of plug and play collaboration, where we're kind of sitting down with 2 or 3 others and having a conversation, maybe sharing the screen and discussing an idea. So again, you'll see on the screen the variety of different models and customization with the railway carriage family as a plug and play furniture piece, which can be integrated. It can be built into niches or into millwork, as you saw earlier, or it can be placed as a single standalone item or as a bank of standalone items in the open plan space. And then just continuing to move to the final product we're going to look at before we dive into the live demo of the verandas. So the Residence Connect, which is this plug and play video booth. So this is a product that's designed from the ground up to facilitate the video conversations that are happening in the post-pandemic workplace. So what we've heard and seen from many of our clients, and we've experienced ourselves, is a huge growth in video meetings over the last 12 to 18 months. But breaking news, they're here to stay. Video meetings are going to be a feature of the post-pandemic, that hybrid workplace we spoke about earlier, where you've got more teams distributed across different locations. Maybe you've got some people working from home, some people working from the office, where they're all diving onto meetings over video. And what we're hearing loud and clear from many of our clients is, firstly, we don't have enough spaces to deliver the number of video meetings that are needed. And secondly, the spaces we have aren't designed in an inclusive and equitable way. And this product here was designed from the ground up with one of our global tech clients, with that specific purpose in mind. So creating the most inclusive and equitable video space, including the ability for wheelchair accessibility, so an ADA compliant version, focusing on the video experience across users with every single possible different skin tone, so that we get the best digital representation, as well as the ability to adjust the ergonomics, so that if you're in that video meeting for 2, 3, 4 hours, you've got a great user experience. Your body's supported ergonomically and comfortably. You've got good ventilation and lighting, and you can really participate and be part of that meeting. So again, the focus of this product was around creating great user experience, that inclusive and equitable user experience. And finally, a really important part of this product story is the sustainable delivery of all of those. So the product itself has been designed so that it's completely red list compliant. So we've worked hard to remove a lot of the red listed materials, as well as being certificated to UL 962, which I think I'm right in saying, is the only modular video booth that's certificated to that UL certification, which is a really important part of delivering projects, particularly in North America and in the United States. So, as I said, that kind of brings us to the end of the products that we're going to touch on. But finally, I wanted to introduce you to Verandas. So Verandas is the product I'm actually sitting beside now. Now, I'm just going to flip over to the other camera, and we're going to start to look at the Verandas product and where we see that fitting into today's workplaces, and what the product is, what it does, and where you could design that into your designs and workplaces. So first of all, the Verandas is a modular meeting room and meeting space system. So everything is designed firstly as plug and play and modular, so you can actually drop a meeting, either a single meeting room or a cluster of meeting rooms, or what we call meeting coves, into an open plan space without the need of bringing in the specialist MEP and air conditioning contractors, without bringing in the kind of stick-built partitioning and joinery. So all these different aspects that you would traditionally need for the initial creation of those meeting spaces have been removed through this furniture-based meeting space system. And then the real benefit of this product really comes into its own when we look at the opportunity for future flexibility. So this product is designed as a 2 foot. So effectively, each one of these modules is a kind of a 2 foot modular section, which can be configured in different finishes, in different looks and feels, different functionalities, depending on how you want to use the product. But what we can do is take any of these rooms, dismantle them, rebuild it in the future, either in a different location, maybe on a different floor, even in a different building. So the client could actually invest in their meeting spaces today and then retain and use and adjust and flex those over the next 5 to 10 to 15 years. But what's really unique about this product is, because it's designed as a modular system, we can actually reconfigure those rooms. So, you might have started out with a 6-person meeting room, for example, but you're not stuck with a 6-person meeting room forever. That 6-person meeting room could be then converted into 2 open plan touch and go spaces, like I was sitting in earlier. It could be converted into 4 individual video pods or phone pods. It could be converted maybe and added to and turned into a 12-person meeting room. So we can actually adjust and adapt this product over the life of your design, of the design of your workplace. And there's a huge amount of flexibility built into the product. So one of the key things we've heard post-pandemic from many of our clients is we need flexibility built into the solutions. Now, another key part of this product is the ability for design choice and aesthetic choice. And we've tried to really focus on the ability that you have to customize. We put those customization tools into your hands to create your own unique version or variant. And as you'll see, this particular product is in this what we call the wine red color. We've got the addition of some of the biophilic accessories, so the moss panel here, the little slatted section, so we can actually create both enclosed meeting spaces on my left, as well as kind of semi-open meeting spaces, but we can customize that in the look and feel of your space as well. And then the other final really important part of this product is the whole aspect of sustainability. So with the flexibility that I discussed earlier, we've got the ability for this product to be, if you're changing and adjusting your meeting rooms for the future, firstly, it means you've invested in a product, so you don't then have to then demolish and dismantle the meeting rooms that you've created. So you've invested in the meeting rooms and they then benefit you over the long term financially as an organization. But also there's a real benefit to the environment, that where we're shifting those meeting rooms around, we're not sending a load of trash to landfill. We're not impacting on the environment as we use those products. And then a final touch on this product, which we thought was a really nice part of the story, was for each one of these products that we sell, we're actually making a contribution to DePaul, who are a global charity who look after, or who are looking to address the needs of homelessness globally. So for each one of these products sold, we're actually contributing to the reduction of homeless people globally. So that's the Verandas product. As I say, this is kind of fairly high paced and whistle stop, but would love to answer any questions that you have today. And also maybe we could, just while you're thinking up any questions, feel free to unmute and put them into the chat box. Maybe James or Lynette could just let us know how anyone could reach out to them and contact them if they wanted to know more about Spacestor or more about Carolina Contract Group.
Yes, thank you. Thanks for walking us through some of those products. James and I are email address, or mine, I should say, is LynetteRoddy@carolinacg.net. Our website is also carolinacg.net, so you could find our contact information online. And James is obviously pretty much the same email, jamesroddy@carolinacg.net, but always feel free to reach out to us and give us a call, and we'll be more than happy to help you.
That's great. Thanks, Lynette. So just waiting for a second or two just to see if there's any questions that come in from the attendees. Again, many thanks for joining. Really appreciate you taking a few minutes out of your day to learn more about Spacestor, to learn more about Carolina Contract Group. Looks like we've got one question come in there. No, okay. So again, thanks very much for joining. Appreciate you taking the time to join us today, as I said, and look forward to seeing you again soon, hopefully in real person next time. But again, thanks and have a great rest of your day.
Thanks so much.